We got us a corpse and cartridge occasion.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Kazuya, the Mishimas, and just how powerful these characters are. The Mishimas hold a very weird place in Tekken because weird in the sense that these are the characters where people say they have real skill. Skill is something that is often defined in Tekken purely based on how difficult it is to do. You know, you're trying to crank these electrics out. You're trying to get these taunt jet uppers off. Like certain characters have moves that you have to practice over and 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 over again to get it perfect. And the Mishimas are one of those characters. Even in Tekken 8, when they have easy electrics and heat, some characters have one button electrics, but you have like the true Mishimas like Kazuya, a little bit of Heihachi, Reina. These characters still have that identity to them where you have to like kind of lock in when you're trying to do these combos, especially in a comeback scenario, whether you're in tournament or whether you're in ranked. It's not easy. So that is the thing where players are like, yes, this is skill. This is difficult to do. And we compare it to other characters in the game that has like 3-2-3s or just 2-2-2, just garbage that, you know, takes no effort at all. You can see how the player base mindset starts to change a little bit. I've been playing a little bit of Kazuya going all the way back to Tag 2, but at Tekken 8 I started to dabble with the character a little bit more. And I will say this is going to be a hot take, but I will say this. I will say that Kazuya, he is changed enough, not in a good way, but enough to where you can skirt by, you can kind of survive without having to do some of these super intensive execution combos. Forward 2, on paper you could get around it with a proper sidestep, but in a real match when you're going up against a Kazuya player who knows what they're doing, trying to get a read on that and get around it, I mean, you're going to get heat activated or you're going to get launched. It's not easy to do. And that move, being a mid, being so fast like that and having decent range, is something that you can kind of just spam over and over and over. But I mean, to be fair, he's not the only character who does it, which is why they gave it to him, right? All the Mishimas, you know, Jin, Devil Jin, they also have Demon Paws. Other characters have forward 2s that goes in the stance mix-up. Yoshimitsu have no sword stance, forward 1+2, which is safe, and I believe it has more range than Kazuya's Demon Paw. So they did kind of give Kazuya some moves to kind of like allow him to keep up with some of the shenanigans that exist within Tekken 8 currently, but regardless of all of that, the character is very powerful. We have Arsenal and Ash on Twitter kind of highlighting this, and there's other players who are highlighting this as well. I'm hearing some people even starting to say that Kazuya is stronger than Heihachi. How do you guys feel about that? I personally think that Heihachi is one of the most diabolical characters in the game, bro. Ultra Instinct is the most broken mechanic in the game. It is, and it's still this way. That move was introduced in season 1 and it has been garbage, and the developers haven't stopped it. They haven't nerfed it, they haven't changed it, they haven't altered it. They just allowed that move to be a win mechanic. Soon as you activate it, you win. The amount of damage, the amount of frames, the amount of just everything, the chip and the gray health, they really tweaked that one install to such a degree to where it's very difficult to stop Heihachi. He gets a launch on you, you have 70% health, GG's, you lost. And it's funny when Heihachi mains say that the character is only good in Ultra Instinct, and he's not, and he's worthless outside of it. He's useless. Tekken players love to throw around the useless word every single time something is being talked about. But would I say that Kazuya is stronger than Heihachi? That is a question, because Heihachi is a powerhouse. He runs you down with stances, he runs you down with damage, he runs you down with just very, very good tools. They even gave him that mid kick to cover his weakness.
Another useful move is back right kick, this kind of middle kick that he does.
はい、こちらは
So this was previously one of Heihachi's weak points. This kick is to address that left side.
Kazuya, he hasn't had nearly as much work done as Heihachi, but people are still starting to say that he's definitely stronger than where he's at. I remember for basically all of Tekken 7 and early Tekken 8, Kazuya mains was like, our character's weak, our character's useless, our character's trash, we need buffs. And this was kind of the thing, right, that people said. It was Devil Jin, it was Lee, and it was Kazuya down at the bottom, and they were just so bad and they needed all of this stuff, and the players were very angry because they felt like they had to go above and beyond and work harder to compete. And now I sort of look at this as like a challenge. If my character is weaker, I want my character to be weaker. I want my character to be, not as good as the others. So when I win, I know 100% in my heart that it's me who won. I know it's not the developer buffs. I know it's not, Tekken 8. I know it's me. If you have been losing all throughout season 1, all throughout season 2, and then they buff your character in season 3, like really buff your character, and then you start winning, I mean, you're trash. You're trash. So I personally don't really fight for buffs or nerfs because I think that you should try to win regardless. And honestly, that's what the Kazuya mains have been doing. Kazuya mains who've been struggling since season 1, 2, and 3, whether or not the character's buffed or nerfed, they have been grinding that character, staying loyal to that character, and now they're starting to see the benefits of it. Like currently we have the EWC qualifier placements, and you can see that there's a couple of Kazuya mains here. You can see Keisuke, you can see Akari. Those are the two names that's been doing great work for the character, with the character, and they're the ones who's kind of generating this change all on their own. I know when the main man looked at this situation, he said that it's not the character. The character is still really weak. It's just these players are very, very, very different. And I mean, we've seen a scenario like that before. Like if you go back to Tekken 7, iMusician was beating Pakistani players with Yoshimitsu, right? They would pick Akuma, iMusician, Yoshimitsu main would show up and beat them. And people were saying like, no, it's not Yoshimitsu. iMusician is the best Yoshimitsu player on the planet. And he just really understands the character like no one else. And the first time you play him, it's a high probability that you lose. And that's kind of like what happened. Now with Kazuya, it's definitely a different thing because Kazuya and Yoshimitsu are radically different characters with a radically different moveset. So with that being the case, what would you say is the reason for these guys performing so well? Even when they don't win, they show up there in real force. They show up there and they cause havoc. You can't just ignore these guys anymore. The combo damage is great. The pressure is fire. The Oki, the hell sweeps, they're really playing Kazuya like he's supposed to be played, and they're going crazy. Arson said on Twitter, might actually be the Kazuya timeline we're living in. Ever since Akari and Keisuke won tournaments at the start of season 3, I haven't been seeing too many Kazuya players, asking for buffs. There was a lot of that going on in season 2. But I just wonder, with this not stopping, with this not being a fluke, with the momentum that the Kazuya players have carrying throughout season 3, how do the actual players feel? Like, for example, there's a comment on this tweet that says, Kazuya Mishima is the hardest character in the game. His poking is weak. His 4-4-3 is trash. He has a normal sidestep. His backdash is normal. He has no stance crap. Kazuya Mishima is the hardest character. I like how this person highlights normal as like that's something worth mentioning, because is it normal backdash, normal sidestep? Does that mean that he has the same sidestep and backdash that every other character has in the game? So those two things are not really needed to be said. But once again, this kind of goes to how some people view the game, where if it's normal, it's bad, because some characters can do more, can do better. Regardless though, I don't think I would want it any other way. On my streams, I would often talk about what character should be the strongest in the game, because we all hated Anna at the top. We all hate Lydia at the top. But what character should be the strongest? Because you will never have balance be perfect. Balance will never be perfect to where every character is just sitting in B tier. With how different all of the tools are in the game, some characters going to be number one. And I honestly think you should have a character that represents each season. Each season should be, this is the season of Dragunov. This is the season of Brian. This is the season of Kazuya. I think that some of these characters should have a little bit of an edge over, so that they just add a little bit of flair to that season. They add something to remember. When you think back on this, you think back on the characters, you think back on the eras, you think back on what happened. And I think having characters be a little bit powerful, a little bit weaker, it just allows for some of these great moments that we've been seeing. I do think you have to be careful with making unpopular or unliked characters powerful. Like season 2 Backlash was definitely amplified by Anna being the face of it. I would often say that if you're going to have someone be broken, I mean, Kazuya is not a bad character to pick. He's an awesome character, huge player base. The character requires skill and execution. You got to have a very good understanding of Tekken to do well with that character. A lot of people would argue that if a character is difficult to use, then that character should be powerful. And I would agree to a certain extent. I think sometimes video games can push this to the fullest extent where something is slightly difficult. It's kind of difficult to do, and then it just runs rampant. And I obviously think that that's not how Kazuya should work or any character should work. But I think currently right now, he's in a really good spot. And I wonder, when will we see all the love and support for Kazuya turn into hatred? When will we see people start to highlight specific moves that he have and request for them to be nerfed? That hasn't happened yet. People are still just kind of like loving to see him perform in tournament. But we saw people turn on Brian Fury. We saw people turn on Dragunov. We saw people turn on any character if they're at the top long enough.